This working out thing isn't working out. Ow. Ow. Ow.
Hey! Hey, you! Are you too much of a wimp to work out? Are you a weakling? Well, now you too can have muscle. With anchor arms! I was a wimp before anchor arms. Now I'm a jerk and everybody loves me.
Wow. Now that's a good idea.
Dolphins are one of those common animals that Pokemon fans have wanted and expected for a long time. I mean, they live all over the world, so they would fit into almost any region. And when we didn't get one in Alola, based on Hawaii, a place that dolphins are like extremely iconic and all over souvenirs and posters and just billions of things. Is dolphin capital of the universe? But no Alolan dolphin Pokemon. I mean, I guess Tapu Fini, but that doesn't really count. And if it did, oh boy, would fans be upset. But all that, it makes you really start to wonder if we'll ever get a dolphin Pokemon.
Isn't Gorbis technically a dolphin?
No. Finizen is just a little baby bottlenose dolphin. The generic dolphin species you probably envision when you think typical dolphin.
No, actually it's a striped dolphin. The white pattern on its flakes is clearly a play on ocean waves, and its Japanese name—
Did you follow me through a scene change? That's illegal! Finizen's Japanese name literally translates to ordinary wave dolphin, taken from the similar patterns that gave this animal its name in the first place. It's got a stripe, looks like a wave, there you go. And both the bottlenose and striped dolphins can be found pretty much anywhere along the Iberian Peninsula's coasts. Though, no matter where you are on the planet's oceans, you're pretty much guaranteed to find at least one of these species. And considering their prevalence, they've carved a comfy niche within the tourism industry. In ethical terms, this mostly consists of boat tours giving a glimpse of these animals in their natural habitats. But in some industries, our treatment of dolphins is less humane, to say the least. The best example of this is SeaWorld and other oceanarium exhibits, and while they have gotten quite a bit better over the decades, well, you probably best know the parks from the controversies surrounding Shamu. But bottlenose dolphins are another common attraction used in these shows, and the most common dolphin trick they do, well, they jump through hoops. On its own, that's not the worst, as dolphins do enjoy playing with humans, and when ethically done, hoop jumping can be an enriching experience. But forcing them to perform on a set schedule is definitely not the way to go about things, though. And not to mention, some traveling circuses in Indonesia have their dolphins jump through flaming hoops, which obviously causes injuries. Thankfully, this practice is illegal in most countries now. But that's all to say that these are the origins for the bubble ring Finizen keeps around its tail. It's a small detail at first, until you realize both of its Pokédex entries focus in on it. It likes playing with others of its kind, using the water ring on its tail. Its water ring is made from seawater mixed with a sticky fluid that Finizen secretes from its blowhole. It's snot!
It's not what? Oh, ew!
The little pink dot on the top of its head is its blowhole. All cetaceans have these, and they're used for what you'd expect. Blowing loads of snot everywhere. Dolphins are marine mammals that breathe air, yet spend most of their lives underwater. This being the case, breathing from the front of your face is inconvenient at best and completely unusable at worst. Having to slow down and stick your whole head out of the water to breathe is very inconvenient compared to just having your back graze the surface while you're still moving. Sure, it's easy enough work for lazy manatees, but dolphins are active creatures. No time for breaks. So sure enough, over millions of years, their nostrils moved from the tip of their nose towards the base of their nose and eventually up their heads and onto the back, allowing them to quickly surface and get back to their fishy business, surviving and spreading their further back nostril genes. But yes, mucus from what was once a nostril. It's snot, and they make a snot ring out of it. At least real-life water rings aren't this gross. Whenever an animal or crack in the ocean floor releases air bubbles, they can occasionally get caught in an underwater vortex, creating the ring-shaped phenomena that I can't do here. Usually these occur at random, except in the case of dolphins. Dolphins have learned how to purposefully create these vortexes, making bubble rings on purpose for play and communication within groups, interacting with them using their flippers and snouts. Here they are using one to torture a jellyfish. Fun! And speaking of dolphins torturing other sea creatures, some pods of dolphin are known to track down pufferfish and play with it like an inflatable ball. But also, the toxins the pufferfish releases gives them a high. That's hilarious, and as expected, this behavior is most common among pods of adolescent male dolphins. Because, of course, those dolphins be like, oh hey, this is a really nice mattress. But really, I can't make that sound. This video is sponsored by Helix Sleep's premium mattresses. Everybody's different and Helix knows that, so Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs. Did you know that dolphins don't use Helix mattresses and that's why they have sore and arched backs? And I did too before I switched to a Helix mattress more than 5 years ago. My wife and I took their quick and easy online sleep quiz which matches you to the perfect mattress for your sleep style. Do you sleep on your side, back, fetal position? Are you big or small, hot or cold? There's options for you. We got matched with the Helix Midnight Lux, which spares me from the warming oceans with its cooling cover. And the delivery was easy, with both free shipping in the US and it coming vacuum packed in a box. Like zero to hero. Look at it expand! And once set up, there's a 100-night sleep trial to test the mattress out and ensure you love it. And on top of that, there's a 10-year warranty and flexible financing options. Honestly, investing in your sleep is an easy way to improve your overall quality of life. That and subscribing to me, because I give you deals! You can go to the link in the description, helixsleep.com/Loxton, and get 20% off of your Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows. My cat Sasha loves them. They're like the superhero sidekicks to the mattress. Or like the mattress's babies. I hope I'm not making it weird. But look, it's like a big happy mattress family. What model citizens? Which is where the name comes in. Finizen is a combination of fin, the pointy appendage on its back and its little flappies, and citizen. But that first part could also double for delphin, the Spanish word for dolphin, as Iberia is Portugal and Spain, where Spanish comes from. Not too complicated, but it does make you wonder what's up with that citizen angle. Dolphins do live in groups known as pods, which could imply they're a citizen in their dolphin societies, but you could say that about any group animal. Why associate this one so heavily with a basic concept? Well, it's not really because of anything in particular with Finizen, but rather its evolution. Who's editing this one?
Hello?
Yeah, what? It's the same.
Yeah, same what?
You're making me look silly.
Same what? What do you mean silly?
You're supposed to bring up Palafin.
I did bring up Palafin.
This is the same.
Yeah, it is. It really
Oh,
is.
it is?
100%.
You're sure?
Yeah, if you look underneath, there's a little heart they added. It's a massive change in design. It looks really cool, actually.
Okay, yeah, I do see the heart now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I thought so.
And then it gets a heart, so it stops torturing other sea life? I guess. Kind of a small change. Etymology. It has a fin, and it's your pal! Haha! Oh, okay, we're done. Return to Pokeball.
Fear not, citizens, for I am here!
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Upon evolving, it gains the Zero to Hero ability, which lets it transform into its hero form. It's a dolphin with a porpoise. Palafin not only has a fin and is your pal, but also is a paladin, a knight renowned for their heroism and chivalry. Okay, well, it's not a knight, but the term also applies loosely nowadays to just heroic people, with a stern code of honor and justice. And plus, it has like a big paladin shield on its chest, so you know it's a hero. This Pokemon's ancient genes have awakened. It is now so extraordinarily strong that it can easily lift a cruise ship with one fin. This hero of the ocean swims at a speed of 50 knots and saves drowning people and Pokemon. Super strength, super speed, it's no secret, this guy is based on the superheroes of Western comic books, most notably of the DC variety. Having a dolphin who transforms into a superhero may seem a bit random at first, but real-life examples of dolphins rescuing people have been recorded across the planet. One example from 2004 saw a surfer accidentally become stranded at sea in Australia, one of the most dangerous parts of the ocean, and sure enough, a 20-foot great white shark surfaced, heading towards the man, but amazingly, a pod of dolphins feeding on salmon nearby spotted the lost human and began encircling him, warding off any attempts made by the shark to approach. It wasn't until a rescue boat arrived 30 minutes later that the dolphins finally departed. Another case from 2000 in Italy involved a 14-year-old boy on a sailboat with his father. Losing his balance, he fell overboard. The boy could not swim and began panicking and quickly sank into the vast sea. But just as he was about to drown, he felt something push him from below. below. The boy looked and realized it was Filippo, the resident dolphin nicknamed by his small town. Understanding the situation, he grabbed onto the dolphin and allowed it to return him to the surface. The father grabbed the boy and thanked Filippo as he returned to the sea below. And these are just 2 out of countless examples. Are these stories true, though? Well, of course they are. They're in a newspaper on the internet, so they must be. Just noble dolphins doing their heroic duties that would go on to inspire a superhero Pokemon 20 years later. I see what you were aiming for, Filippo. Oh gosh, is it Filippo? Well, this hero connection goes even deeper. Finizen evolves at level 38, which could very well be a reference to the release year of the original Superman comic, which basically started the entire superhero genre back in 1938. And even Palafin's Japanese name, Irukaman, is a play on Aquaman, Spider-Man, Hawkman, Batman, Superman naming schemes. What they are, followed by man. Yes, its name in Japanese directly translates to Dolphin Man, your favorite Pokemon. Dolphin Man! This also explains why Zero Form Palafin looks the way it does. It's hiding its secret identity. Just like how Spider-Man has Peter Parker, Batman has Bruce Wayne, and Superman has Clark Kent. Palafin has, well, still a Palafin, I guess. But to protect its pod from its enemies, it disguises itself among other Finizen.
Don't look at me. I'm no superhero. I'm just a regular Finizen.
And then it goes back into its Pokeball where no one is looking. And like Clark Kent changing clothes in a phone booth or Bruce Wayne quickly returning to the Batcave, they don their superhero garb and return to the battlefield. Now that's a lot of added muscle mass.
Now I'm a jerk and everybody loves me.
And it's strong enough now that it can stand up on its tail, but it definitely has been skipping leg day. Or tail fin day. It's just like so many of these depictions of these superheroes with overly exaggerated chest muscles and comparatively small legs. In its main artwork, it's even scouting the city for criminal activity. And its main standing pose itself is inspired by dolphins jumping out of the water, a pose commonly recreated in statues and artwork. Of course, though, while dolphins may be able to leap great height out of the water, they are not able to walk or stand. Naturally, anyway. But there is a cryptid. This is the Amazonian river dolphin. While they themselves are real, in Brazilian mythology, these cetaceans supposedly have the ability to leave the rivers and disguise themselves as humans. They would then enter public festivities and ceremonies, socializing with the locals until eventually returning to their true form at the end of the day. This point is doubly relevant because Boto is another name for the species, which was given by Portuguese explorers. Originally, it was just a general term to refer to all South American river dolphins, but today, it's most commonly associated with this species. Fitting for Palafin, as it also has a big smile. Now, to say that these species are all that inspired Finizen is fair, but there is another cetacean we should look at as the primary inspiration for Palafin's hero form specifically. By maxing out its limits, Palafin changed into an orca, the killer whale, which despite its name is actually a species of dolphin, the biggest dolphin in the world, in fact. So it went from an ordinary wave, bottlenosy dolphin to the strongest and greatest dolphin there is. The bubble goggles around its eyes greatly resemble the white eye spots on the giant animal, a feature made all the more obvious by its shiny palate. And orcas are insane. You don't get the name killer whale for nothing. They're especially a menace to their main prey, seals. You see, aside from just eating them, they also have very creative ways of hunting. Seals like to rest on icebergs for safety, but even so, the predators are smart enough to have learned that they can create waves to wash the victim off of their safe haven and into the watery grave below. Somehow, this isn't even their most brutal behavior. Using their tails, they can launch seals dozens of feet into the air before plummeting to their doom. Do they need to do this? No, not even remotely the case, but they do so anyways because it's fun.
Maybe Shamu got what was coming to her.
Oh well, rules of nature and all that. At least the Pokemon Orca hero seems to fight for justice rather than villainy. Aside from slacking and wishy-washy school form, this Pokemon has the highest base stat total of non-legendary Pokemon, fitting for a superhero. Though, just like with those 2 other Pokemon, there's a catch. As I mentioned, this Pokemon needs to return to its Pokeball to change clothes and all that. But once it has, Palafin comes decked out, ready to fight crime. Expanding upon its bubble ring, it crafts more clothes to conceal their secret identity. This includes a pair of goggles, as well as a cape flowing above its head like in this iconic Superman art. It also vaguely gives off the general V shape possessed by All Might and Deku to symbolize its inevitable victory. Though, if you consider the head to be a hump as well, it could actually be a W for water or whale. Looking beyond the water apparel, the body itself has transformed into a superhero costume too. The sleek lines and fancy colors mimic the spandex suits of Wolverine and Deadpool and Pepsi Man. Yeah, you're not hiding when you're that bright and loud about your outfit. Luckily, Palafin has no intentions of doing so. Remember how Finizen had a wave pattern to hide itself within the water? Well, Palafin Hero Form sports a giant chest logo that's similarly shaped to a whale tail breaching the water surface. Quite literally the opposite of hiding. Instead, it screams, "Hey, look at me!" This too is a superhero classic, as sporting your logo on your uniform helps with brand recognition. And you want it to be as flashy as possible. That way you ease the fears of the innocent and strike fear into the hearts of no-dwellers. But what exactly is Palafin protecting his Finizens from? Well, remember how we said bottlenose dolphins are one of the common animals entrapped at places like SeaWorld? Well, as mentioned, so too was the orca. I mean, this animal was the poster child for the Blackfish documentary, which covered the horrors the amusement park put their dolphins through. And even still, animal rights organizations across the planet use Shamu and Tilikum as prime examples of how not to treat captive creatures. That's why Palafin may be a hypothetical Shamu who was able to overcome the oppressive overlords exploiting them for entertainment and greed and return the entire pod back to the oceans. While this realistically could never happen, SeaWorld has somewhat recently announced that they would be ending their orca breeding program, meaning the current generation will be their last. And sure, they still have a ways to go to even be considered neutrally humane, but at least the needle is moving in the correct direction. But back to more light-hearted subjects. It's not like this is Shamu's first go at video games either, as the marine mammal has starred in at least 4 different video games. Even Finizen, you could say, is partially based on Sega's Echo the Dolphin, just without all the alien and time travel weirdness. All I'm trying to say here is that video game dolphin heroes aren't exactly a new concept.
No, that's great and all, but...
No, you're done with this video. Go now. What he was going to say was, while a dolphin Pokemon has every reason to be in Paldea, the Iberian Peninsula, what do superheroes have to do with the place? Sure, comic book heroes are extremely popular worldwide, especially within the last 15 years, but that's more so like American culture that leaked over into the other parts of the world. So why not have this line debut in the Unova region? Or some future US region? Or Alola? Well, just like how dolphins can be found all over the world, this line feasibly could have debuted in any generation, so there must be something special and specific about superheroes and maybe even dolphins to tie it to Paldea. And indeed there is. Spain has had 2 native publishers for most of its history. I'm gonna butcher these names. Editorial Bueguera and Editorial Valencia. For the early 20th century, their stories were fairly low radar. That is, until the Francoist regime. If you happen to attend this game's history classes at the academies, you'll learn that Paldea was once under the rule of a tyrannical king, and even says historical accounts describe the Paldean emperor as being quite the dictator. And the same holds true for Spain. The Francoist dictatorship of Spain was the period between 1939 and 1975. Under the rule of Francisco Franco, he ruled the country with an iron fist, indicting fascism and nationalism across the country. One such measure saw the regulation of all cultural activities. Suddenly, all books, movies, plays, music, and more with any reference to things like criticism of the state or of the Catholic Church and their officials, communism, pluralism, which I had to actually look up, I've never heard of it before. Turns out it's just the idea that you can work in harmony with people who have different backgrounds, just in general. Wow! But also on the chopping block are references to women's rights and issues, including just referencing the existence of birth control. Any reference to LGBT issues and even simple deviation from gender norms either had to be removed from whatever media they were in, or the whole work would be outright banned. Even many textbooks could not simply educate about such matters. But this is all to be expected. Banning these kinds of things tends to be the main part of fascism. And these bans included comic books. Every single story depicting a superhero was to be outright banned, as they often taught empathy and morals. So the closest legal thing Spain had to superhero comic books were stories pulled from historical retellings through the lens of cartoonistry. Basically, any comic book adjacent media had to be pro-Spain propaganda. But, despite the government's efforts, in the later years of the regime, the underground sales of illegal comics exploded. Both imported and translated ones, and fully original ones. A risky business for sure, as being caught with them could result in fines and even jail time, but nothing could stop their production, and more importantly, their consumption. The subject matter of these new Spanish comics focused on superheroes occasionally, but most of them told gritty and realistic stories focusing on ongoing social issues and depictions of everyday lives. They were somewhat similar to the underlying messages of newer superhero series like Invincible and The Boys. These comics were especially appealing to younger people who craved rebellion against the tyrannical government. And that's why, even with the bans, this period became known as the Spanish Golden Age of comics, and it may have played a part in the toppling of the regime. Franco died in 1975, and his son, the Dauphin, or Dauphin, Juan Carlos, took over and installed democracy, and thus also stopped the bans and the censorship for the most part. He was praised by many as a hero, though not all, especially in more recent years. History and politics is complicated, we're not going to get into that, but the Dauphin, Juan Carlos, was the hero of the Spanish people. So here we have a Spanish hero, Dolphin. And for context, Dauphin, or Dauphin, or Dauphin, is the French word for heir to the throne, essentially. Like a prince, but you can have multiple princes, but only one of them is the Dauphin, you know? The Spanish royal family adopted the term too, because back in the 18th century, the French royal family was also the Spanish royal family. Pretty much. I'm simplifying a lot here. But anyway, there's a lot that Juan Carlos and his contemporaries have said about what inspired this decision to install democracy. And while potentially not true, being inspired by the success of the Allies in World War II, as well as their free and open expression in media, was a big part of that. Freedom is powerful, and freedom sometimes starts by sticking it to the man, raging against the machine, and being heroes even on a smaller scale. And if that isn't the message behind Finizen, I don't know what is. These underground comic book distributors weren't anyone special, just ordinary people who disagreed with the government. Not too dissimilar to Finizen. That's why Zero Form Palafin is the same as its pre-evolution. It's no more special than any other member of its species, and because it's the same as everyone, it gives the message that yes, anyone can be a hero, as long as they have the heart to fight for what's just. Palafin is an evolution of the Pokemon's character, not its physical appearance. It's just got a much, much bigger heart. And a disguise. A disguise that's kinda ugly.